Hey guys, this is Level Zero, and today I have another free-to-play game review. And in this case, this game is called Dirty Bomb. It just released today on Steam for our open beta, and the developers want our feedback on the game. So here's my feedback on the game so far. I have around more or less 2 or 3 hours into the game, and now let's start with the good stuff. This game borrows a lot from CSGO, which is not necessarily a bad thing. When I say when it copies a lot from CSGO, I mean hipfire, case openings, gun variants, which I'll touch on to in a second. But there's that, and pretty sure it copies a little from, I want to say, COD, because you can call in these little airstrikes and you can use these little kill streak type things. The only difference from COD is that you don't have to get a certain amount of kills to earn them. You can use them as often as you want, assuming the cooldown has reset. So when you call in these little things like you've seen right here, you can drop down ammo, you can call in airstrikes, you can call in light beams that come in from the sky and essentially kill your enemies. You can be a medic, you can be ammo, you can be a sniper. But the problem with this, the only thing I've seen is I've never really got the chance to play competitive, but I imagine, or I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me in the comments, but I would not want to see these little kill streak little things into competitive, just because you can put them in pretty obnoxious locations, especially with the airstrike. You can see in this video that I was trying to call in the light beam, but it just wasn't working, and then you can call in the airstrike, and then you can just, these random missiles come out of nowhere. And oh, if you're using the airstrike, if you're indoors, the airstrike little beacon thing acts as a grenade, and you can spam those grenades every like a few seconds, like 10 seconds or something like that. And yeah, so about the case openings, I actually got this character from a case opening. The start off character you start off with that you're most likely gonna use is the mini support guy. He can drop ammo and call in airstrikes. Personally, I think that gun was a little underpowered. I think it could use a bit of a buff. But considering that there's variants of characters you can get, I'm pretty sure there's a stronger variant of that said character and has a way stronger gun. But the trade-offs to those is that I bet you don't get that little airstrike thing, which is where the balancing comes into play. And speaking of balancing, there's this one little variant for another support guy where he gets miniguns, and that minigun shreds. I don't know if I'll show it, or if I didn't record it, because actually I'll get into that in a second. But if you see to my little right, if you pay attention, you'll see this huge guy with this huge little gun. That is the minigun, and that minigun shreds. It will rip you apart. There's nothing you can do unless you have that minigun. I've killed him a couple times, but it's a little frustrating on the receiving end. And I'm pretty sure that's why we won in this game, because that minigun is just so damn powerful. If there's one recommendation in the balancing department, I'd say nerf the minigun. It shoots at a crazy fire rate, so even if you do get the first shot off, all you have to do is turn in your general direction and just breathe at you, and you're basically taking a little dirt nap. But that's all for the balancing things. Performance issues, I've had a bit. But I've seen other people say that they haven't had a bit of issues, and considering this uses Unreal, I'm actually making my own game with Unreal, but that's another story for another day. Unreal doesn't tend to handle hyper-threading quite as well. It tends to handle more cores rather than hyper-threaded cores. So this is why if you watched X Factor's video earlier, he has a 5960X, which is like 8 cores and then another like 8 threads. So it's most likely using the logical cores the physical cores rather than the logical cores. Hence why he's having such a good experience. Another reason why you might be seeing stuttering hitching is because this game is actually on my hard drive, and I was recording on that said hard drive, so that could be a factor too. But even when I wasn't recording with Shadowplay, I was still getting stuttering and hitching. The stuttering hitching isn't too major, it's not the game breaking, but it's something you will notice. Since we're still on the topic for performance issues, I'd like to touch on the performance issues such as frame drops. I don't know. I know it's open beta, but it does say NVIDIA, so I would hope that NVIDIA would optimize. Considering that I have a powerful card, which is my GTX 980 Superclock, I would hope to max this game out and not have to play on medium, just so I don't have to deal with frame rates lower than 40. Yeah, that you heard me right, 40, and you see me, I get stuck here, I fell, and kind of funny at the time, but yeah, the performance could be a bit better, but since it's in an open beta, I imagine that they'd fix it. Another thing is servers, they could be a bit more servers, but one of the developers said on Twitter that they didn't expect 9,000 players to be on. That is there's more people playing this right now than there's Hardline on PC, which says a bit of a something. So, yeah. So again, I guess I can go on a little bit into this gameplay you're seeing. The way how I see it, I think there's one or two major game modes. I'm pretty sure there's this, and actually no, I can't really remember because this is pretty much the only game mode I got to play. Lots of maps are really nice, graphics look nice. It could be I was saying in my live stream earlier that I wish there was like a team deathmatch type thing so you can get warmed up to the playstyle. And yeah. Oh, another thing is that when you just start playing out the game, you don't play with people that are like level 7, 8, 12, 50. You play with people at your own pace. This is comparable to, I think it was Red Light Retribution, where you play with people on your own level, which is really nice so you don't have to really grind out for the kills and all that type of stuff. Now I did say it was a free to play game earlier, so you're probably thinking in your head pay to win. I would say it's not pay to win because there is case openings, and then like those said case openings like Counter-Strike, those case openings can contain players that are stronger and have better guns. Now, where my concern is that like I said earlier with that minigun, and I'm pretty sure these are not all the characters that's going to be in the final release of the game, and there is elite cases that you can buy with real world money. Now, considering that there's a guy that probably purchased an elite pack to get that minigun, because I purchased around, well, my in-game currency, I think I had 50,000, and then I spent around, give or take, 35,000. Yeah, 35,000, and I did not get a single good character. I've tried all of them, and the best one I got was Kira, and she's a gold one, and she has a DMR type thing that kills you in 3 shots. The thing about that gun is that you can't really spam it, and I think you've noticed in this gameplay that you can't really spam it because the recoil goes all over the place. But recoil is forgiving in this game. It's not as hard as Counter-Strike where you have to like, it's more forgiving in this game. I'd wish that they had a hip fire penalty, so your hip fire spread is a bit larger. But what can you do? Okay, so I guess now is the time to touch on core gameplay. So core gameplay is better than Advanced Warfare, which says a lot about how good this game has been developed. Sorry, my Windows, while you might see it a couple times, or I might edit it out, but there's times when my Windows key is expiring. I don't know why it's expiring. It just comes out of nowhere and says your Windows key is expiring June 9th. I'm not gonna buy another Windows key since considering that Windows 10 is like it's coming out for free for a year on June 28th, right around when school ends for me, so I'm not even gonna worry about it. So yeah, so back to the core gameplay. Core gameplay is nice until it's kind of a grind. If you're going up against people that are like even level 4s, you can get a lot of money. I got around 28,000 when I reached level 24, and that's enough money. You can buy a lot of case openings, and the regular cases are just 1,000 in-game currency, so you can buy a lot of cases. And in some of these cases, I think I lucked out with this one. because Kira is gold and it has this little DMR that absolutely wrecks. And you're about to see this little laser thing I'm calling in, and then you can actually control that said laser around where you want it to go, and it can just do what you want it. Personally, I wish Kira had a airstrike type thing, but I guess I'd kind of make it overpowered, like I said before, because this is a 3-shot kill in most cases. And right here, you're about to see that minigun, how overpowered it is. Clearly, I shot him. Actually, no, this is not the best example, but you'll see it later on in this video that we're trying to take on this minigun guy. It takes so many shots just to the end. And then another core gameplay in this game is neutralize. If you remember my last review in AAPV, America's Army Proving Grounds, you could neutralize people by going over their body and tying them up, and then they no longer have the ability to talk to their teammates, and they no longer have the ability to be revived by teammates. Now in this game it's a bit different. When you get neutralized, quote unquote, you can still talk to your teammates, but I think when you get neutralized, there's a time limit for when you spawn. I'm not sure how this works personally, but when you get neutralized, I noticed that there's like a 13 time limit type thing. And here's me calling in the airstrike again, trying to not get them to go down this lane. But back to the neutralize, I think it's a good mechanic, but considering how fast paced the gameplay is, I don't think it's really necessary for having a neutralize type of mechanic. Due to the fact how fast paced this game is, I don't think it's really necessary. Maybe I'm wrong in competitive, which is another game mode. I've never got to play competitive, but I imagine that respawns are a bit longer, so neutralizing may be a viable option. But for this, for casual, I don't think the neutralizing is all that viable, just because how fast the gameplay is. Now another gameplay thing in this game is that you can jump off walls. I figured this out as I was trying to get into a piece of cover and get onto a head glitch spot. And you can head glitch in this game. I wish you couldn't, but you can. And I noticed you can jump off walls as much as times as you want. I don't know, this is another thing that this game is so fast paced that you'll be trying to get out to this one little spot, you'd probably get killed. Yeah, and then you can see the minigun just rips me to shreds. Yeah, but double jumping is another thing. Why not just have us jump higher rather than having a double jump mechanic that hardly even works? But again, it's an open beta, so they have time to improve. But if you want my opinion, I'd say remove the double jump mechanic and just put back, just make us have a higher jump. And another mechanic is that you can revive people, but that kind of backfired on me. And it actually says in the tutorial is to not try to revive people if you're not a medic in high traffic areas. And this is another little thing I have, that I think only a medic should be able to revive people. Rather than, I know that when you're on other classes, it takes about like 7 to 6 seconds to revive. But I think this is something that this should be just left for medics. Due to the fact that medics can self-regenerate their health and revive people instantaneous, and there's no cooldown for the defibs. So I think the developers should just leave the reviving to the medic class. And there's a bunch of other stuff, and I encourage you guys to try. There's a bunch of other stuff that I'm not going to get into this video because it's already about 13 minutes long. I'm going to cut it off here, but I encourage you guys to go follow me on Twitch, as I'm more active there than I am on YouTube. Actually, I'd say half and half, but then I can interact with you guys, and you can ask me questions. And no, before you guys ask, this is not on console. I don't think it's going to be on console due to the fact that it's a free-to-play game. Actually, I'm not even going to talk about my game since I'm reviewing another game. So, this is all for today. This is Level 0, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.